We learn to live and live to learn. What has turned out to be an unprecedented situation, an unprecedented pandemic, with history being written across the geography of Mother Earth. And a minor virus has created a major catastrophe, making each of us rewind, rethink, reboot, reset, reformat before we rebuild a new future. A new future which will become a new normal in the world of education. The only thing constant, they say, in life is change. In a pandemic, the only thing certain is uncertainty. Change we must, because change is an essential ingredient of progress. So while all progress necessitates change, the fact is that all change does not lead to progress. So we need to be very careful about what we change, when we change, and how we change. In an environment which is fraught with risk and challenges, we need changes to find solutions and opportunities, to discover and rediscover and reinstate the new normal. And to do that, at EduMate.tv, we have our candid COVID classrooms where we speak, interact, find opinions, views, news and analysis across every single cross-section of the Indian education ecosphere. The student, the parent, the teacher, the principal, the vice chancellor, the educrat, the minister, and even the edupreneur. And a compilation of all this will be submitted in the realms of a white paper to the Government of India at the end of September to provide a direction and a reason for reason in the new education system, which we call the new normal. This program, like most others, is brought to you by Aheducation, which looks at education ahead. It's our 53rd New Normal series, which we started at EduMate.tv. I'm very proud to announce that it's powered by one of India's better-known universities, the pride of the Northeast, the Royal Global University. Today, as always, we have a list of very special luminaries who will talk to us on a very engaging topic on the need of a new ecosystem on India's education. Let's first take a look at who these very special people are. And today's argument is whether we need a new system. And if we do, what does that new ecosphere need to inculcate? What's going to be the broad parameters of that? Who better than to tell us will be our top guest for today, Sanjay Pratap Singh, Vice Chancellor of Royal Global University. What a pleasure to have you on our show, sir. Please, over to you.
So whatever is happening right now will definitely have a reflection in for the future. And we are going to have a very changed ecosystem or environment in the campus. And we are very, very much ready for that. At least I'm talking about Royal Global University. It's quite likely that the new three major components will be institutions plus technology, teachers plus technology, that leads to designers of learning experience, and they are designers of learning experience. And third will be students plus technology. Third component is quite by and large covered, because I'm talking about my student and students who are coming from middle class and upper middle class. I'm not talking about the strata, which is probably we are not catering as of now, but I'm concerned about them. Teachers need to be groomed, trained, and they should practice hard, and they are practicing hard during COVID time, so that they are learned enough. They are having this interaction more better than the initial interaction when we started in March, April. But now we have come to a more closer affinity with the student, even on digital platforms. And another few months, it will become very normal, that I believe. Maybe not equal to what we have in the classroom, I agree, but maybe to the extent of 60, 70, 80%, we will be effective on digital platforms by hard practicing it and accepting it and innovating on it. There is also technology or maybe level divide. There is an economic divide. There is a development divide. there are many kinds of nature is not equal to all. During this pandemic time, the best thing what happened positively, I'm telling you, that this gap, this education divide, I'm using the word education divide with respect to resources, quality of teachers, with respect to technology and everything, has become comparatively less. Because though we are Royal Global University, but our interaction with the global world was very less. Now with the digital platform, our interaction with the global world is more. And same thing can happen with all the school principals are here. They can also have many global connect. They can collaborate. And even if a student is staying in their own city or own village, or maybe in Guwahati or Assam, can have the learning experience of nearly, I'm not saying exactly, nearly equal to a global standard by this digital platform. So this is what I want to start with as a remark. I think new ecosystem will be a change ecosystem, and within a year or two, each and every school and each and every child and teacher will be digitally comfortable, and there will be no divide by and large.
The hallmark of any leader in any environment is to creatively use resources, however limited they may be, in a particular time, to convert the crisis into an opportunity. And I salute you, Vice Chancellor Sanjay Pratap Singh, for having not just invoked that in terms of thoughts, which you have before, but also put that into practice. I think that's more important. When you implement a thought, then you complete that thought. And a large part of this country's nemesis has been some fantastic policy making, but rather paltry implementation. So I salute you on the 360, and I think it's very important to infuse that into our system, because that's exactly when you lead by example, then the student observes and follows suit. So let's go across to our next speaker, Professor A.K. Buragoy, who's Chairperson Academics at RGU. We've heard three very compelling arguments from Professor Dr. S.P. Singh. What are yours, Professor?
This post-COVID, if there will be any very large radical change in any system in the world, in any sphere, whether it is economy, industry, or whatever, entertainment, media, I think the largest impact will be, and the largest change will be in the education sector. We have to prepare for the ecosystem shift, therefore. Now coming to the ecosystem, for the new ecosystem to come into conformity with the new challenges, to cope with the new challenges, very rightly and very obviously, we have to gear up at every possible level, from our institutional level to the government level to the international level, in really strengthening, expanding and consolidating the digital infrastructure. No doubt about it. We have to not only narrow down, we have to completely bring it to the zero level. Coming to the online delivery, there are two very important aspects I would like to highlight in the opening remark. One is that the online technology platform is only a delivery system. It's only a mechanism to deliver the content that we prepare. So what matters, what will matter most for this kind of delivery from a digital platform will be the need to develop, recast our content also. The course curriculum has to be revisited, reviewed, and brought in tune with, in harmony with the technology which will be used for delivering those. Second thing is that after this delivery part also will require not only modification in the content curriculum, course curriculum, but it will also require, as Professor S.P. Singh has said, that the teachers have to be trained, reoriented in a new pedagogy.
But for us, here the crisis was, there were students who we could not reach out to, and there were students if we talk about the digital divide, then there were students who were not having the devices at all. And then, so we need to be talking to our teachers as to how to reach out to those students. That was the primary thing. Now, the crisis was imminent, and we had to take quick decisions to meet them. And how we went about that was that under any circumstances, the learning should not stop. So we trained our teachers, we made partners with our NGOs, like Bharti Foundation was roped in in order to provide the technological training to the teachers, and so that they can cope up with this new situation. So on one hand, we were having this capacity building programs. So there were ones which were initiated by the directorate itself, and there were some self-initiated systems by the mentor teachers also, whereby we launched a new series which was called Let's Talk Education series. So even if a student was not having one particular device, so what we did was that we are now in the process of framing the worksheets, and we are sending them across. So the parent who doesn't have a phone or a device at access can actually go to the school and collect those worksheets, and then after a week can go and then fetch the checked worksheets and then check. So we are leaving no stone unturned in order to reach out to any of our students in whichever way we can reach.
I was thinking, and I thought, no, let's talk about the priorities of government when we make our education policy, when we talk about those things. And because we are here to kind of give some input on say policy. Look, the earlier concerns were kind of when Operation Blackboard is there, or all kind of thing to create one classroom for a, say, school, or kind of say to ensure that there are less dropouts. Those kind of issues in the beginning were very much at the outset of, say, concern of the government. But I feel after this particular pandemic, I guess they need to introduce certain more things into their concerns and that area where they need to focus on. And one of the main focus, I guess, which will ensure that, the two biggest problem or the two biggest challenge of education system in this country, they can address through that. And the challenge is number one, infrastructure, number two, the quantity and quality of teachers. And I think in my understanding, we need to look at this assessment system in very, very differently. And that's why in my last webinar also, I talked about it, that we need to re-evaluate our assessment method, what we want to assess, why we want to assess, and what will be the outcome of that assessment. Exactly at the end of the day, what we want our students to learn. Are we only restricting ourselves that, okay, if my student is getting 90%, that's perfectly all right for me as a school, or our expectations are different? And that's why as a school and as an organization, we need to be very realistic in terms of setting our outcomes.
The problem is that we are still sticking to the old type of note giving and all those things. And for that, we require some teacher training, which is more important than teaching the students now, because they are doing their classes as they were doing in the offline mode. But the new normal is this, that we have to be adapt to the online mode. So the more emphasis that has to be given is the concept education. And I think teacher also has to, they have to develop their own techniques. For example, they should start their TCI concept, like that means techniques, that means topic. Then from the topic, they should be able to get out the concepts that are involved in the topic. And from that, they have to give the information accordingly. And I think we have to change the evaluation process.
Let's now go across to some of our teachers who are here with us, who are representing their schools. I think it's always very important to speak to teachers because they are the greatest influencers of students. They're also the greatest influencers of their school and their future education.
Two of our students got 100 in English and 100 in maths, so it was really a good result. We had 15 out of 54 children, 15 students, they got 90 plus, and around 20 children, they scored between 80 to 90%. To the present scenario, I would begin with congratulating all the teachers and the students for acclimatizing themselves to the new online education system, for which we were all not very equipped with. So after the initial roadblocks, our school started with WhatsApp groups, and we also started using Google Classroom for sharing the assignments and for delivering the lessons and for giving the projects. And from next week onwards, we are also starting with the virtual summer camp. for the children for 15 days. So it is going to be a 15-day academic break for them, and they're going to participate in the summer camp activities, which is going to be a mix of public speaking plus the art sports activities. So our effort was to keep the children engaged even in this critical situation. So, and that has been very well appreciated by the parents also. So I feel after the post-COVID, what we require is we need to completely have a makeover of the curriculum, the syllabi, and more of research work and project work should be incorporated as a part of evaluation system. We should not focus more on the mark grading system, but more of research work and paper presentation work should be a part of the school curriculum. The children who live in remote areas, they can have access to the online courses. In fact, the esteemed universities like IITs, NITs, the prestigious universities, they can transcend the global boundaries and can go online. So the curriculum will need to go flexible and need to be collaborative and innovative. And we need to nurture the future entrepreneurs and, most importantly, employable workforce.
Yes, now Sanjay Pratap Singh, you've been smiling vociferously, I know to that. But I know you've also, because most of our teachers, Sanjay ji, have spoken about, innovative ways that they are approaching education. And I know that the Royal Global University has been a standout in terms of innovation and taking preemptive measures and looking into the future. I often say that, having spoken to your faculty, the 3 E's are which govern you. You've expected well, you've embraced well, and you've evolved well. So talk us through those, those shifts in building up the new ecosphere in your campus.
The knock of pandemic came, and on 15th of March, when we were asked not to continue with the offline mode of teaching, we immediately thought what to do now. And somehow with the experience of other countries, China, Italy and Europe, we have understood something major is going to happen in our country also, and we geared up quickly for the digital mode and digital platform, and teachers immediately started experimenting in the very first week itself. And on 23rd of March, we conducted a full-fledged training of the teachers that how to use Zoom. That time Zoom was more prominent, and how to use digital platform, and how we requested teachers. A lot of discussion happened, and then finally we decided to start our classes from 24th officially. Though classes have started before 24th, and I think in the very first week, few of the classes has happened. So far, we have conducted more than 12,000 classes. And then we conducted online. This is very important, our evaluation part. Online open book, open source examination, where 98% of the students appear for the examination. And we have evaluated them, and they were very, very honest. And they have not cheated from friends or parents or other teachers or tutors. They have taken use of maybe books or maybe any other source, we have set up question in such a manner so that we can analyze their ability with respect to cognition, with respect to remembrance, with respect to analytical skills, and all those components of evaluation we have taken care of. And all my students are continuously in touch with the studies and either studying or revising. And now their final exams, so they are again revising. And our new session will begin from August. So again, they will be, because our objective is only one in Royal Global University, that a student should be positively charged during this time, and they should continue their studies in a leisure manner.
Mrs. Sonali Bhattacharya, we've had some fantastic results all throughout in the CBSE, in class 11, class 12, and class 10, as well as the ICSE. How has it been for your school? Tell us through that, your experiences, and how do you see a radical shift in the new normal situation of the ecosphere?
From the classrooms, we have shifted to the virtual online classes. And both the teachers and the students have been trying to adapt themselves to this new change. Teachers have been trying to, adapt new means, and training sessions have been carried on for that purpose. Students also, they initially, both teachers as well as students, they found it quite difficult at times. But gradually, as the days went on, both the teachers and the students adjusted themselves to this new situation. And not only the bookish knowledge, but we have also taken concern about their mental health, because the mental health of the students have been affected due to this post-COVID situation. But yet the students are trying their best, and the teachers are also trying their best to reach out to them. Because as educators, our prime concern is to reach out to the students, to interact with them. So whether it is the classrooms or whether it is our home, we just want to connect to them and give, try to give a knowledge to them that we have to prepare themselves. They should be confident enough. And with the online classes, especially, I feel that the slow learners have been, they have got the chance to express themselves, as they would hesitate to speak out. They would hesitate to participate in the various field trips or projects or any other kind of work.
But nothing succeeds like success. And for success, all you need is a will. Where there is a will, there'll always be a way. And that way is shown to us by some of the best luminaries around us in higher education. Let's take a look.
Royal Global University is your window to the world. See the transition in you through innovative pedagogy, state-of-the-art facilities, and experienced faculty. The leading university of Northeast India, we handhold you to stay inspired throughout your journey. Your intellect combined with our tutelage will pave a purpose to ideate and innovate. Spread across 27 acres, all schools are equipped with the finest state-of-the-art infrastructure. At Royal Global University, Guwahati, we nurture global citizens. Our placement support ensures quality career and a secured future. You dream, we deliver.
I'm going to go across to each of our guests now and give them a minute each to highlight at least 3 aspects which they'd like to see in the new normal of Indian education.
My 3 ways are that 1, we are going for blended. We may be having a split classroom. We may be having a hybrid classroom as far as university and those institutions are concerned, where people are by and large conversant with the technology and they have technology. For other institutions, there can be morning classes, evening classes. The student will come in half numbers and teachers will sit with distancing with all facilities, sanitization and distancing. And they will have classes and maybe many video lectures or other things may be given depending upon the facility they have. And in due course of time, I think the solutions are that everybody should have digital access, everybody should have bandwidth, everybody should have gadgets as per the requirement. From wherever, in place of government giving fees to the teachers, they better give it to the students so that they purchase or can be given a gadget, and one teacher can take a class of 1,000 students if the connectivity is there.
This COVID has brought before us one very beautiful opportunity to realize after introspection that we have lost the essence of education all these years. This realization has to be dawned on each and every one of us first. And once we realize this, we will be motivated by ourselves for the next step. That is, we have to reevaluate, redesign and everything of what we call as education. This is the second. And third, of course, is the infrastructural part and capacity building part, whether it is the digital infrastructure, whether it is the human capital. So first of all, the realization has to dawn on us that this commodification of education, this rat race for marks, has really robbed the education of the essence of education itself. That realization has to be there with us.
So how a joyful person a thoughtful person who comes back from the classroom initiates a good discussion with the parents as to how the things should be. They talk about those reflective stories with their parents, and then they elicit their opinions, and then they come back to their classroom and then they talk to their peers about this happiness curriculum. One of the important things about any of the curriculums that we've launched, be it the entrepreneurship mindset or be it the happiness curriculum, is that collaboration is central to this approach. The group activities that the students do during this part is that is something which brings into the essential skill building process about collaboration, about creativity, about decision making, about critical thinking. These are the essential faculties which we are consciously wanting to cultivate in the children. Less of the academic element in it, but yes, more as a natural corollary, it brings about many of the academic benefits in terms of the attitude building of the children, in terms of the concentration levels that they attain. And it's a very beautiful concept.
The huge gap between the demand and supply, and because the demand and supply in terms of quality, and that's why the concept of brand and institution, they came into play, because a certain kind of brand and certain kind of things, and they offer you, they ensure that you are getting better services, better quality. And I think the first thing what I want to see, like the way government must bring one more organism, one more organization into place, which I see that where the way you hire teachers for Kendriya Vidyalaya, the way you hire teachers for Navodaya Vidyalaya, I think you need to create a center where you hire people for online teaching. There's an online center where you are just hiring people. From there, you are delivering the highest order of content. Everything is there well in place for the government sector, for those schools. And I guess that will just help. And you hire people to develop and create, curate content. And from there, everything is done. That's as far as I'm concerned. And government sector is concerned, that's my first thing. Second part, I'll say the assessment process.
The teacher, they has to have that techno savviness. I think the teacher, those who are taking online classes, as the time passes on, they will be also upgrading their online skills. And I think that will be a positive aspect of this pandemic. And then, and also one point that is that we can see now that there are some value changes. I have seen, we are also conducting some meditation classes. We have one group of students who have passed out our higher secondary. We have prepared a WhatsApp group there. They are doing some such classes. And one positive aspect we are seeing is that the students who have passed out their higher secondary, earlier they used to go out and have their classes in the degree colleges or universities like that. But now because of the pandemic and lockdown, they are staying in their hometown and they are helping their juniors.
We require to structure the online education system and empower the teachers with the online teaching skills. And second point is that education system should be an amalgamation of the virtual classes and the physical classes. And the third thing is the school curriculum needs a revamp, and we need to include the life skills as well as the vocational courses, because we require good human beings in our society. So that is going to play a vital role in shaping our future citizens.
Aspects of the new normal that I'm expecting is that we have to accept this new way of life, and we have to accept that technology will rule now. And therefore, we have to amalgamate the two process. And even if the school reopens, we have to upgrade ourselves to the new technology. And we also need to concentrate on the mental development of the children, because they are the ones who are under too much of pressure, even too much of assignments, too much of worksheets. These all are putting too much of stress on them, and therefore we need to enhance their skills, and we need to enhance their creativity also, giving them enough space.
We are just talking about too much of stress of the students during this pandemic time. I just want to share one experience. And we have many videos being given by our students based upon our teachers' interaction, because I still teach and I regularly teach maybe 5 to 6 lectures a week. And I tell you, Chetan, today, my students were upset when I was not taking classes. And as soon as we started online classes, they got de-stressed and they become happy and they were able to take it in a better way. So what I think everybody has agreed upon, if we have right kind of teacher who can interact rightly with the student and who bring a lot of knowledge, but along with knowledge, lot of happiness to the mind and soul of a student, I think whatever methodology we will use, if the teacher is good, it will de-stress a student all the time.
All right, let me just close off with the alliteration of R's, to use the R word in the new normal. And I use the word R, which comes from the big R, which has been presented by our Prime Minister when he calls for a self-reliant India. So to have a self-reliant India, you need to have, at the very least, a self-reliant ecosystem for education, right? That's what will become the new normal. And to ensure that you have the big R of reliance, you've got to have 3 very critical R's. The first R is relevance. Your education system has got to be relevant, right, to each and every person who's receiving that, particularly the student. The second part of the relevance is responsive. To be relevant, you've got to be responsive to the changes that are taking place around our ecosphere, not just in this country, but across the world. And the more responsive you are, the more adaptable you will be to that change. And the final R is responsibility. Our education system has to teach each and every one to be responsible for their own lives. You've got to take responsibility for yourself, whether it's the student, whether it's the teacher, whether it's the parent, whether it's the professor, it's the principal, or it's the vice chancellor, or even the edupreneur and the edufriend. So thank you on that note for joining us in today's webinar. We'll come back with lots more. We come back with all kinds of episodes on education, the new normal. But don't forget that one thing is very important, as what I think Dr. Vidikesh was saying, is that to create a new ecosphere, you've got to connect. And when to connect, you've got to be more connective, you've got to be more collective, more creative, and even corrective. And that's what brings out the new normal. And don't forget, of course, to educate better, you better educate.